In this video, I'm going to go over a little bit more of an advanced lighting setup. So what I mean by an advanced lighting setup is just a lighting setup with a lot of lights in it. And all the lights are doing various things. So as a beginner, I would recommend learning how to master a maximum 3 lights with maybe a HDRI. But as you move up and start to understand how to light scenes, this is when I would start to add lights into the scene. So I'm just going to do an overview of this scene here. And instead of setting all the lights up, I'll explain exactly what each light is doing. So I'll start with turning everything off and going through it as I would if I was building this scene out. Let's turn off all these lights here. And so this is by default. So what you'll notice is there's a little bit of light to the scene, and that is just due to a HDRI. This is the HDRI I use a ton in my scenes. It's Photo Studio, and this is on Polyhaven for free, so you can use that one. And then all I usually do see here is I'm throwing it through a mix node to get rid of all the color. And then you can also see the strength of this is incredibly low, just very low. It's adding some ambient light, which I find adding a little bit of ambient light can really help a scene, especially with reflections, especially with metallic and just overall the full scene. So then what I was sort of thinking about is adding in some props. Now I took some inspiration from a photo off Pinterest, so I've got similar props, just a different setup. And I would always start with a key light. Now I'm going to turn the key light on, and what you'll notice is there's 2 flag lights in here. And so this is what the key light does. The key light up here was just a nice big circular area light. And I've got a texture in this. This is Light Wrangler, so I've plugged a texture in here. And if we chuck this one into 3D view as well, this will give you a bit of a better idea. Going on, let's turn off this. So that texture, that rounded texture, gives us this soft fall off over here, which is super nice and super helpful for us to be able to create this soft fall off around the edges. Now, I wanted the fall off, if I just go ahead and grab this, I wanted the fall off, let's do the marking over here. I wanted the fall off to cut in like here and here. And I did a lot of adjusting with the light to try and get it there. But there was sort of 2 things that I was combating with. One was the spread. I wanted a smooth fall off. I didn't want it to be sharp. So if you go really sharp like this, you can see that the distance between the transition shrinks. So I wanted it about 30 to have that nice fall off. I wanted it to sit back here as well. And so that was another thing I was looking for. And I was also trying to, add some shadow in here. We both know that the biggest struggle in 3D is getting your renders to look photorealistic. But what if I told you that there is 3 elements that you can follow to instantly level up your renders and to improve your renders a lot faster than you're currently progressing? If you're interested in learning these 3 elements, then I have a completely free workshop which you can watch. It's 45 minutes. It's going to teach you a ton of value about 3D product rendering and how to get photorealistic renders inside of Blender. All you got to do is put your email in the top link in the description and sign up today. See you over there. Let's get back into the tutorial. Light Wrangler actually has a feature that you can use with it, and it's super helpful. And so basically, if you select a light and then you just press right click, you can see you can add a flag, either a solid or a gobo. And so I just added a solid, and this is what these 2 flags are. So the first flags are these 2, and these 2 flags, there's one here, and I've got them unselectable, one here and one here. And if we just turn these off and on, and watch what happens. Maybe I just turn the whole thing off. So you can see we've got shadow down in the base here. And then when we turn the flag on, we bring and cut into that shadow a little bit more. And so it's a very tiny change, but it just allows me to control some of that lights there. So like even this one, you might bring it up a little bit higher, and you could go the top view and just bring it in a little bit. Just sort of close off and create this little bit of a rounded shadow. Then the next flag is just for the wood. So I found that the wood was getting too much light on it. And if I want this to be the main focus, then what is happening is when something's a bit brighter than our main focus, it's taking our attention away. So I didn't mind this bit being in focus a little bit more, but I didn't want the wood tip to be in focus. And just for realism as well, I struggled to get this timber to look realistic. So what I actually did was went ahead and got another texture. So if we jump in here, I actually went and got a separate displacement. So I'll show you what that looks like. And I got this one from Ambient CG. So displacement here. And I just basically ran this onto this texture here. So I put it on the timber texture, which gave us these tiny little adjustments, and ran it through displacement and had adaptive subdivision on. And that took away some of the unrealisticness of this, which was just due to this looking too smooth and not rough enough like a real timber is. And so I used a separate texture that wasn't included in this. This is from Quixel, so what's it called? Fab.com. That's a free bit of timber as well you can use. So then the flag just blocks off a little bit of that light in the tip there. And then what I would think about next, and as the process of building this, I built out all the main objects first, and I put in the fill light and did all this, and then the key light, the key light is just the main light. And then I was thinking about, okay, maybe I need to make this background pop a little bit more. So I added in a background. Now the background's got a bit of a texture in it as well. Just with a normal map, it's set really low, and it's just a clay texture of Ambient CG mapped to a big plane. And then this backlight up here is sort of set up of two lights here. And so I'll turn them off. So we've got one light here. This is my main gobo light with quite a sharp spread of 12 degrees. So that's making the light very, very direct here. Making the light very sharp, very direct. And the power is, I reduced the power quite a bit just so that it would show a lot of the detail in the texture behind. We don't want this blown out. We don't want the background to be the main object, but we want it to set these front objects apart. So then the second gobo, if I turn this one on, you can see this is adding a lot of warmth to the gobo here. And this is a little trick that they do. By adding a second gobo, this one has slightly less power and the spread is slightly higher. So it's spreading out a little bit more. Also, the temperature is warmer than the other gobo. So it's adding warmth into it. But more importantly, it's adding this warm edge to our gobo here. So this warm edge is caused, if we turn this on and off, you can see that color change. Something that's more like what sunlight would do. And you get this by studying references and looking at like ArcViz or interior design shots. This is a trick that they use. Let's get rid of the annotations. Where are they? Down here. So, and I also scaled that second one up slightly, a little bit bigger. You don't actually have to if the spread is changing. I do it more for to be able to select either one. a little bit easier. So once I got that in, I always go to something like a fill. And so I've got my fill here. This is just a single light, and I experimented around with the fill a lot, and I turned out that I liked the fill up the top. So just an overall light, an overhead light. It took out the darkness up in the top corner here and just added a bit of light across it all, which was quite nice. And so it's not doing a lot by the time it gets down here, but it took out some of that up in the corner and added a little highlights and just filled in the scene a little bit more and on top of this stone. So then I was focused on lighting this stone. I wanted this to stand out as a piece as well. So I actually used 2 lights here. And these both have HDRIs in them, and you can see these are fall-offs. So these are light maps here, and then they're quite a direct light, and that allows me to, you can see here, to have this fall-off on the stone itself. And so I've just pointed these 2 tiny lights, and they're really, really weak in power, like you can see there. And they're both pretty much the same. This one has a little bit more spread on it, and I don't think it has a texture, no texture, light texture, and it adds a little bit more spread. Then the next thing I did for these lights is under object properties. When you select the light, you just basically create a group here. So I've got stone, and I threw the stone into that group, and then I can attach that to those 2 lights, so that these 2 lights only affect this little stone here, because I don't want it to light all this and create reflections over here. Then I pretty much stopped there, but there was sort of one thing that I wanted to do, and that was just to add a little bit more lighting, because I saw this was a little bit dark here, this edge, a little bit dark. I want it to stand out. So I added a little cap lighting. It's the same thing where it's got the cap inside the group, and this is just over the side here, just pointing in there. And you could technically, like, if you look at this, you can see that it's some of that light will be blocked by the stone, so you could technically open up the shadow linking, put a stone group in here, and grab the stone and just remove it, and then this light won't hit the stone at all. But just for like realism, I didn't do that, so it left it like that, and that added that little highlight on the edge there. And that's pretty much the full scene here. And then obviously just some small compositing. I'm not even sure what half of it's like, not even sure if this is doing anything. Just pulling down the contrast a tiny bit. I thought it was too saturated, which I just added it on basically through this one, which is the curves, and this adds, an S curve adds contrast. But I just want a little bit less contrast in the darks and the highlights. And so then when we render this, so when you render this, you get something like this, and I was quite happy with the result. The only thing I'm still playing around with is just some scratches and imperfections there, because it just looks too shiny, too perfect. So maybe something like a little bump map or some scratches, which you can see some of them are added in. Some smudges, some fingerprints, which are done basically through here. Tuck this one back in. Let's go in. Zoom in. Let's go Control B. I'm just going to select an area here so that this renders quite quickly. Select our glass, and I've got 2 here set up. And this is 2 grayscale gorilla materials, so it's sort of like a smudges one. And so we could increase the smudge a little bit more. You can increase the, and so all this is doing, like, it's a smudge black to white grayscale material. And then I put it through a color ramp, in which you could think of it like your colors, but basically it remaps the colors. So we're taking the widest and we're just crunching that down. You can see what happens. And then that is just mixing between a different scratches here. So this is the separate scratches, which we could bring some of them back. They're mapped two different ways, only because the scale is two different ones. So if I go 3 and we do something like this, and then we come out here, click the glass shader here, you can see how many more scratches we're getting here in our scene. And so if you want to remove the scratches, you just basically drop the values here so that it's less rough. Till it's really light. Could go 1, see what happens. Give it a render. That'll actually render just that square, so let's view regions, clear region. Run another render. So there you go. Now that is definitely one thing I'm trying to improve is what sort of imperfections I'm picking in my renders, adding more imperfections. Like I would say this is too scratched. Basically, like it's not realistic if this was a new product. It might have dust, it might have fingerprints on it, and that would be probably it. It wouldn't have that many scratches yet. So I'm probably picking the wrong imperfection. But that's an overall, just a general walkthrough of the scene. And I hope you found it useful. I don't think I can give away this scene just because I think it's got some grayscale gorilla materials in it. And so I could probably swap them out and see if I can give away the file down below so you can use it. All right, I'll see you in the next one.